So we're back in the USA, not USSR. So
Just how lucky we are.
yeah,
Well, actually, I haven't really gone very far.
wow, you are a poet and didn't even know it. Look at you.
I am.
Seth Kamen, Sean Palmer, Seth and Sean Sports Radio here on StreamYard. First time, long time, both in the United States, given the fact that I've been abroad for a couple of weeks. But it's nice to be home. I will tell you, the last day I was in Athens, I saw wheelchair basketball on the promenade, which was kind of cool to see how many people would turn out for a basketball game that meant absolutely nothing. I didn't realize while the rest of Europe really is all about soccer or football, basketball is the preeminent sport in Greece. It's not even close.
Well, I mean, in Europe, it's really the number two. I mean, it's basketball's number two.
Right, but I didn't think it was number one anywhere, and it is. So I mean, at least, and everybody's a Bucks fan, right? Everybody's a Bucks fan. Everybody's a Giannis fan. But let's talk about the transfer portal. Let's talk about not in college sports. I'm talking about soccer. This is always
really.
Wait
a second. The NBA finals are done. The NHL finals are done.
They're done. That's
Champions
the point.
League soccer is done.
They're done.
And we're talking transfer portal.
We're talking transfer portal because
practice.
There is 1 week every year. It's the week before the NBA draft that I am totally and completely astonished by the money that is moved around. We have this discussion every year.
Yep.
And all the different players and how it works. So before we go into it, give me a little background again and our viewers on how this works. How is it free agency? Like, how does this all work?
Well, I mean, it's somewhat free agency, or people. If you have a year left on a contract, and you know the team knows they're going to leave, that you're going to leave, they can try and sell you, and not only to another team in your league, to another country. It's kind of nuts.
So there's no control by the player other than to say, I'm not going to resign with you.
No, because the player has to agree to the contract.
So hold on. So if a player has a contract with one more year, can he be sold to any team without consent?
No. You're signing, but they can. Most of the time, they're going to want to be because they're going to want to play somewhere else. And if you're I think Christian Pulisic is a pretty good example. I think he may have a year left on his contract.
Okay.
With Chelsea. He gets no burn. He doesn't play. He's not going to play under the new coach. So there's a good chance that, again, maybe he's owned for 2 years, maybe for 3 years, I don't know. But Chelsea paid $60 million to whoever it was, Borussia Dortmund or whoever it was, to get him. So now they're going to try and sell him to make some money back.
Hold on. But can they sell him to whoever they want?
No. He has to agree to terms.
So his contract doesn't just transfer.
Sometimes it does. I think it's different with different people. So he has said he would take a cut in salary in order to leave.
Right. But if he wasn't going to take a cut in salary,
then he would.
Could you just transfer the player? Could you just?
You cannot transfer the player without the player's approval. No.
So if Pulaski, I'm sorry, the Captain America, I can't remember his name.
Christian Pulisic.
If he did not want to go anywhere, he could just stay there.
Yes.
And the team would have no way to get rid of him.
No, they just have to pay the salary. He just wouldn't play.
Okay, so unlike other sports where you can get traded to wherever, that is not the case in EPL.
No.
Case in soccer at all.
No.
So not only are you sold, you also then the only way you can get sold is if you then agree to a brand new. You're ripping up your contract and signing a new one.
I'm not sure. I think that's contingent on a client, on a player to player. I don't know, but nobody is going from Manchester City to Celtic and taking a 70% hit in salary to do it.
No, I understand that, but that's my point, right? So if you have a $5 million salary and you're going from Man City, let's say Fulham, Celtic, or whatever you want to call it.
Celtic?
So what did you just call them?
Celtic.
Celtic.
They're in Scotland.
Fine. So you're going from Man City to Celtic, and you have a $5 million salary. Man City cannot just say, okay, Sean Palmer, I'm selling you to Celtic. You're still going to earn your $5 million in Celtic, but I'm selling you to Celtic. That's it. We're done. I would then have to agree to that contract.
You have to agree to the move.
So how does anybody ever get traded to a lower seed? How do lower seeds
because happens all the time. Because, well, there's a couple ways. Number one, they can loan players out. Like, let's say you're a 21-year-old goalie.
Yeah.
And you play again, I'm just throwing it out. You play for Liverpool.
Okay.
And you're never going to get, actually, we play for Man City. Zach Steffen, who's the number 2 for the USA, is a good example. He was backing up their goalie for, I forget the name off the top of my head, for 2 years. Didn't get any playing time.
Yep.
Wanted to play.
Yep.
So Man City loans him to, I want to say, Middlesbrough.
So when you loan, your contract stays in place.
Mm-hmm.
Who pays the salary?
It's negotiated between the teams.
Okay. And
typically what happens is you're loaned out for a year, 2 year, whatever it is, for a year. It's always for a year. Then the receiving team typically has a buy option. One team has a buyout. They may have a buy option, or Man City may have the right of first refusal to bring them back.
Okay.
Again, this is all negotiated between the two teams.
Sure.
So you go to a lower team because you want to play more.
Okay.
Very simple. Would you rather be the 15th man on a championship team, or would you rather be the third man, the number 1 player on a number 15 team, where you could eventually work your way up to being a top player?
Sure. You're not Jack Haley at this point. You're a young player.
Right. If you're, like Man U has a goalie who's, I think, 38 years old.
He'll
never play. He's an emergency goalie.
Right.
No one's loaning him out.
Right.
But their number 2 goalie, who was trying to play for England, ended up going I think it was Nottingham Forest. And I think they're buying out. He was loaned out this year, and I think Nottingham Forest is buying him out to become their number 1 goalie.
And then the player has to agree.
Yes. Player has to agree.
So just like every other thing in Europe, it's more of a workers concept rather than it is an employer's concept, which is what the United States has.
Yeah.
At-will employment exists in the United States. It does not exist overseas in most cases. Okay, so what are we looking at here for some of these players? So we have Ronaldo, right? Supposedly going somewhere.
Saudi Arabia.
I'm looking at ESPN. Ronaldo to Arsenal, perhaps.
What? No, you're looking at No, you're looking.
These are alternate. I'm sorry, these are alternate realities. My apologies.
Yeah. There's something called summer transfer window.
Okay. So who are we looking at as far as the big names moving?
All right. Well, Lionel Messi going to Miami.
Right. Yeah.
That's So you got that. Now, Jude Bellingham, who's going from Dortmund to Real Madrid for like $120 million, plus whatever he's going to be. He's 19 years old.
None of that money goes to the player. None of it.
No. So there's a 30% add-on clause. There's $103 million, making the total outlay $134 million. So he's 19. He's a superstar, and I don't know what they're paying him. I don't know that. So you got that. The big one is the team I root for, Tottenham. Harry Kane, who's been the best forward, one of the 2 or 3 best forwards in the world for many years. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Does he want to stay at Tottenham? Does he want to go to where does he want to go? Because they're going to sell him for over $100 million if he leaves. But he's got 1 year left on his deal, so how much are you going to actually do it? So it's a lot of those are the big ones. Kareem Benzema went to Saudi Arabia, but he was a free transfer. There's a couple other names that you're not. I mean, Declan Rice is at West Ham. He's supposedly going to Arsenal for about $100 million. The money's almost irrelevant at this point. It's so high, it's so big that it's not fathomable anymore. You have Man City is run by Saudi Arabia. Newcastle owned by Saudi Arabia. The money is it's too big.
So what's the solution then?
There is none. There's nothing you can do. That's why they had the quote unquote the fair play violations, and which we talked about years ago, but nothing really comes of them. So it doesn't really seem to matter.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay, so if there's no solution, we're going to have the New York Yankees versus everybody else, right? I mean,
We've had that.
It's no longer
Bayern Munich has won 10 out of 11 titles, I think. Man City's won 5 out of 6. Real Madrid or Barcelona probably won 20 out of 21. PSG, which was Neymar, Mbappe, who just said he's leaving after next year. God knows what the price point's going to be for that. And Messi, well, they've won probably 5 out of 6. You kind of have your Yankees already.
So is there any shot for the little guy? I mean,
Depends on what.
Well, we saw Leicester, right?
Leicester, who actually got demoted this year. Yeah, I mean, Napoli won the Italian title out of nowhere. There's Brighton, which has never been a big name, made the Europa League. But there's a couple, but it's going to be harder. It's harder and harder.
I get it. And believe it or not, you're seeing what's happening in baseball, right? At least in major leagues, where unfortunately my New York Mets, who have the highest payroll in baseball, are suffering. They're probably going to be sellers at the deadline.
Oh, you're not suffering. Baseball doesn't start until August 1st.
Seth, Memorial Day is where that happens. It is.
No, I just don't believe baseball exists before August 1st.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So
who's more disappointing, you or the Padres?
I think we're more disappointed. I think we are a more disappointing team, just because I don't see. I mean, you're predicating your team based on two aces that have done absolutely nothing. The Mets are currently in 4th place, 10 games behind the Braves. The Braves are kicking the crap out of everybody, right? They are 15 games above 500. They have a plus differential of 71. And if you look at this, the standings right now, the Miami Marlins are in 2nd place, which is ridiculous.
Well, no. Ridiculous is Arizona and Pittsburgh leading their respective divisions. That is ridiculous. But we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, but is that an indication of what? That the rest of the division is bad? Or that...
Does anyone think the NL West is bad?
Well, I don't know. This year, they certainly are not playing up to standards, right? I mean...
Sure.
The Dodgers are only 9 games above 500. Granted, they're plus 66. Remember, the Diamondbacks are 15 games above 500 with a plus differential of runs of 29.
Yeah, I get it.
Comparing that to the Braves with the same record with a plus differential of 71, which makes you think that
it's a little bit flukier.
Right. Maybe the Diamondbacks are a little bit on the lucky side as opposed to. But the Padres are 32 and 34. The Mets are 31 and 36. I mean, They're both disappointing. The Cardinals are probably the most disappointing team at 27-42 and in last place.
Yeah, how does that happen?
It's called everybody falls off the cliff.
It's called Wilson Contreras?
Well, that part of it too. I mean, look, Goldschmidt and Arenado Goldschmidt only has 31 RBIs because nobody's getting on base. He's batting, his OPS is 871. Arenado's OPS is 819. After that, Goldschmidt's is 871, Gorman's is 843, Arenado is 819. After that, they got a guy in the minors at 789, then Norsberg at 770, and Wilson Contreras, their big free agent signing to replace Yadier Molina, is at 639. He's batting 198. Seth.
He's in Anthony Volpe range.
Yeah, but Anthony Volpe is a rookie.
Yep.
Wilson Contreras is definitely not a rookie. All right. Where is the Joker in the pantheon at this point? Where is it? Moving on to the NBA. Where is it?
Low 20s?
Low 20. You had him where before this year?
He wasn't. I didn't really have. He was not included when we did this a year and a half ago.
Right. He was not in your 75. So he jumped from. It wasn't a year and a half ago. It was about a year ago.
Well, we did it before he won MVP, and we probably should have had him in there. I mean, you got 2 MVPs, a championship, a ridiculous playoff performance. I don't care about Finals MVP. To me, that's just meaningless. He very well could have won a 3rd MVP if they didn't have voter fatigue. And his game is unlike anything we've ever seen. And the team is going to be around for another 3 or 4 years. I don't see any reason they're going to step back. I mean, is he a top 10 center of all time? Well, I mean, did Ewing ever win an MVP?
No.
Did Robinson won 1? Shaq won 1.
Did Robinson win one?
I think so. Maybe he didn't, but I thought he did. What's his name? Elijah won 1 or 2. I don't remember how many. I think he won 1 or 2. I mean, you're talking at that level at this point. I mean, kind of in that 4 through 10 centers. You know, I'm not putting him with Russell, Chamberlain, or Jabbar at this point. Way too early. But he's 28 years old. Where exactly is his ceiling? He's, I don't know, modern day Arvydas Sabonis. I mean, what in his mid-20s when healthy? Like, what is he? He's not a player we've ever seen before.
Well, is he a player that we've seen, but we didn't see at his dominating self?
Well, that's Sabonis.
Well, or is it Bill Walton?
That's the two. Those are the 2 names that have we brought up on Gary's show earlier today. Also,
I will tell you, he's somebody else too, and I will tell you, this person still plays in the NBA. He's probably as good a passer. He's a better shooter. He's a little smaller. A little, by like 20 pounds. Same height. Any ideas?
You comparing him to LeBron?
I'm comparing him to Kevin Love. Kevin Love, Minnesota Kevin Love, not Kevin Love today. Kevin Love, when Kevin Love was a dominant player, and he was a dominant player. Look, Kevin Love's not to the extent of Jokic. There's no question. That's what I said. But that's the closest that we've seen to somebody in their prime that looks sort of like Jokic. He's a passer. He's a shooter. They both play defense, pick and rolls. I mean, Love does them now. Love was an underrated player when he was in Minnesota. Incredibly underrated player.
Well, because there was nobody there.
Right.
So I never really thought about it, to be honest.
So Kevin Love's stats when he started, right?
26 and 10, if I remember correctly. Something along those lines.
So his best year, 26, you're right, 26-13. And then he went 26-12, and he went 20-15.
Now, I do disagree. He was a great outlet passer. He was not a passer in the half court game like Jokic was. Jokic is.
That may be.
But he also had a game that the team pretty much he was their number one, where he had the score. Jokic doesn't have that necessity with the supporting cast that he has. So we never really, by the time Love was still in his prime or pretty close to it when he went to Cleveland, he kind of reverted to being the number 3 because of Kyrie and because of Bron.
But even as a 3, he's averaging 16 and 10.
Yeah,
10.
His numbers were like Chris Bosh.
Yeah, that is an excellent comparison, Chris Bosh. So 2011, 2012, that team with that Timberwolves team. Okay, so let's take a look at that Timberwolves team, 2011, 2012. So they finished fifth in their division, so obviously last. Their second best player. You want to take a guess on their second best player?
On which team is this?
2011, 2012 Minnesota Timberwolves.
Cassell?
Cassell was not on that team.
Malik Sealy was dead. Garnett was gone. Ricky Rubio?
Yeah. It was Ricky Rubio and Derek Williams.
Derek Williams from Arizona?
Yep. Both rookies. That team was awful.
Yes, they were.
That was J.J. Barea, Michael Beasley, Wayne Ellington, Wesley Johnson, Malcolm Lee, Darko, Brad Miller, Anthony Randolph, Luke Ridnour, Rick Rubio, Anthony Tolliver, Martell Webster, and Derek Williams.
I'm not sure that team would have beaten one of the national championship teams along those lines.
That's really, really, really. Okay, so you all right?
I got bronchitis.
How's the bronchitis coming?
Better than it was a week ago.
Oh, that's and at least it doesn't look like Mars outside.
Well, that's because we're in a basement.
It still doesn't look like Mars outside.
Fair.
One would hope. Okay, so obviously this team is bringing back, well, I won't say obviously. It is likely that this team brings back all 5 of their guys. They're 5 starters, right? They bring back Murray, KCP, Gordon, Jokic, and who am I missing? Who am I missing, Seth? Gordon,
That's
KCP, Jokic.
They're bringing back their top 5. Murray,
Right.
Jokic, Gordon, Porter.
So we're bringing back Porter. They're going to have to
KCP.
replace Bruce Brown in all likelihood because they won't be able to afford him. But they have a couple of because they'll be hard capped. Not hard capped. They'll be hard capped with him. The Gilbert Arenas rule for him, where they can only offer him, I believe it's $9 million a year, which is insane, but he'll get probably 15 to 16 next year. They're still the leading contender going into next year, even as of now.
Oh yeah. What? Where do you see any real weakness here?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. The only weakness that this team could have is health. Yeah. And that's the same weakness they've had for the last 5 years, right? Is if somebody gets hurt, then they don't have depth. And this year they were very, very lucky in that they didn't get hurt. Porter.
Or you could look at it the last 3 or 4 years. They've been incredibly unlucky because of the injuries to Porter and to Murray.
That's true. That's true. So we have the NBA draft coming up next week. We'll have our NBA draft preview next week. I think you see the top 3. Obviously, Victor's going number 1. Wemby's number 1. But you have Henderson and you have Brandon Miller, 2 and 3. Where are your Trailblazers going? Like, are your Trailblazers looking to trade that pick? I would think that they probably are. but I'm not sure who's trading up for it.
Well, oh no, I think someone because there seems to be a distinct differentiation between the top three and everything else, and Portland's number 3.
Correct.
The question is, are they going to trade Lillard? I mean, that's really the question. And who's going to take him at what price point, at what value because of his salary? I mean, I've seen a couple. I mean, Miami could desperately use another scorer. I think that was pretty obvious. But I'm not sure that I saw this somewhere that Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin in a first round, they're really going to do it. So, I mean, either I think they're in a fine position. I don't think they're really looking to trade down. I don't think they look at this team and say this, whoever they bring in is good. They're going to win a championship in the next couple of years, which means it may be the end of Lillard. But, he's so beloved there, it would be incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I'm not sure how many. First of all, I'm not. By the way, not rumor, but news came today that Bradley Beal is also looking for deals. Surprise, surprise. Both
right, but Bradley Beal has to actually approve the deal.
Correct.
He has no trade. He has a full no trade.
Right, but do you really think that Portland's trading Damian Lillard without asking where he's going to go?
Oh no, I completely agree.
So they both basically have no trade clauses, right? I mean, just one is implicit and one is explicit. But they're both earning $50 million.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of cobbling that you would have to do for teams to get to $50 million is insane, is not realistic. I mean, there are teams that could do it. The Celtics could certainly do it. They could make that deal. They have enough high-priced talent. The Knicks could do it, but they'd have to put Randall and Fournier in there. That would be what you do. And then you'd have a Lillard and Brunson defensive combination in the backcourt. No, thank you. Like, that doesn't work. Other teams, I mean, the Lakers could cobble enough, but they'd be left with 3 players and nobody else.
Yes.
The Suns could do it with DeAndre Ayton. They could.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Ayton, and they have to have another big salary guy, but they could do it. The Clippers could do it around somebody with Paul George, but why? That's it. Maybe the Bulls could do it because they have enough higher price.
Yes, because they have Levine and they have DeRozan. And
right. But again, why? Right? So, and the Bucks could do it with a sign and trade with Middleton if they wanted to. But let's have Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday in the backcourt. And no front court help except for Giannis. No shooting except for Lillard. I mean, they get to the line 75 times a game. I mean, that would be fun. And then when you look at Bradley Beal, do you view Beal as a better or worse player than Lillard?
Worse.
See, and I go the other way. And the reasoning is Bradley Beal's 6'6". So would Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard fit better with the Knicks? Beal.
Yes.
Absolutely. Right?
Agreed. I think they're two. I don't think they're the same player.
No, they're not. One's a point guard, one's a shooter.
Beal is a bona fide 2. Lillard is a swing, is a combo, excuse me. Beal does not need the ball in his hands to the degree that Lillard does. But who do I think is a better player? Who would I rather have on my team? I'd rather have Lillard.
Right. No, I see that. I see that. So we have this draft next week, and the Wizards pick, I believe it's 7th or 8th. 7th, I think. And the Blazers pick 3rd. So if you're going to see a trade, it's going to be pretty early. Because I can't see this draft going on and then the players traded late. That's not going to happen. All trades generally happen at either the trading deadline or the draft. And if you're the Knicks looking at, I got 25,000 picks, the For all those New York fans that believe that the Knicks are in the driver's seat for any superstar, let me tell you something. They are not. Every single pick that is not the Knicks pick has restrictions on it of some sort. There are at least.
Is there anyone you want the Knicks to trade for within practicality?
What am I giving up? Tell me what I'm giving up, and then I can tell you if I want to trade. So if I am, and tell me what I'm getting too. Like, is there anybody? Sure, I want Kevin Durant. Yes, I mean, yes, I want.
LeBron. I mean, that within practicality.
If I was going to pick, look, the perfect person for the Knicks, the perfect player for the Knicks is Paul George.
Mm-hmm.
He is the perfect player for the Knicks. Is he going to leave the Clippers and leave LA? Probably not. Right? But if I'm looking for, hey, I need a guy that makes me a contender, it's either him or it's Jaylen Brown. I would love for them to get Jaylen Brown. There is no way they're getting Jaylen.
They're not getting Jaylen Brown.
Well, first of all, the Celtics aren't trading him to the Knicks.
No, they're not.
And the only way that happens is if he plays out his contract after this year. And then it's free agency, and the Knicks don't have enough money to sign him anyway. So it really doesn't matter. So, yeah, that would be a guy.
Does Embiid get traded?
Well, he's another guy that if he's on the block, obviously the Knicks would want him. But sure. I'll tell you, the perfect trade partner for Embiid is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Because they have young talent in a lot of draft picks.
And he plays with Alexander.
The question is, would you have to give up Alexander to get him?
Well, there's no way that Oklahoma City would give up Alexander to get him. None. And even more so, would Embiid go there if Alexander wasn't there? And would Embiid want to go there to begin with? All those things, because Embiid's contract only runs 2 more years. So you're certainly not trading Joel Embiid without the opportunity to re-sign Joel Embiid. That's not happening. But look, if the 76ers are looking to tear it down, and if they lose Harden, I think they really have to tear it down and rebuild around Maxey. I think that's their guy because Harris has 1 more year on that contract, and then he's gone. Oklahoma City Thunder trading 4 first-round picks and somebody, whoever that somebody is, right? Even if it's Holmgren, right?
Holmgren, I mean, if you're getting Embiid, trading Holmgren doesn't seem like much of an issue.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So you trade Holmgren some salary filler because they are, I believe, at the cap this year. Oh, maybe Steven Adams. No, they don't have Steven Adams anymore.
Yeah, he's in Memphis, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in Memphis. But I was thinking about another big. But I think Chet Holmgren, some filler, and like 2 or 3 first-round draft picks. So you're basically getting 4 first-round draft picks for Embiid.
Yeah.
It's all about whether Embiid wants to go there. It's not a matter of whether he fits. I think that's a perfect fit for him. I mean, the other perfect fit would be Orlando, but I can't see Orlando having enough to get him. Orlando's just in the middle of Nowheresville. Yeah. You look tired, my friend.
Yeah, kind of am.
Yeah.
So I was too busy watching the big celebration last night in Vegas.
Yeah. The quickest team from expansion to a cup, beating out the Flyers, who did it in 7 years. They did it in 6 years. The NHL going to learn, well, hopefully, look, they learned with the Kraken, right? In that you can't have the rules the same. And it harkens me back to expansion drafts of the San Jose Sharks and expansion draft to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Is it 1990? Is that 2000?
Yeah, and the Anaheim Mighty Ducks with Artis Urbe, where basically they sucked for like 7 years or 8 years because they got nobody in the draft. And look, the hope is that with more expansion on the way, and there will be, There will be at least 2 more teams coming in the next 4 years. You won't get this type of, hey, you can just go sign anybody like Vegas did. Look, Vegas did it right for what they needed to do. And they used a lot of their power in the draft because of a flat cap and because of a cap that at the time wasn't as big as it will be in a couple of years to get lots and lots of draft picks. And they used it well. And more power to Kelly McCrimmon. And if you recognize that name.
Is that Brett related to Brad?
Brad passed away. Brad passed away in the crash in Russia. And Kelly is his brother. And Kelly is the GM of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Well done, though. I give you credit for that. You know that because of NHL 92. It's okay, though. We understand.
Maybe.
Probably.
He also played for a team that I rooted for. He played for the Calgary Flames.
Yeah. Wow. That was why did you root for the Calgary Flames?
Because I really liked playing. I really liked playing with them in '94.
Because you like they're in Florida.
Joey Neuendijk,
and Joey
Gary
Mo.
Roberts, Theo Fleury, Al McInnes, and Gary Suter. Mike Vernon.
Yep, Gary Suter and Mike Vernon. One of the top five spots. If you didn't play with line changes, Calgary was very good.
Yes.
Calgary. The rival for Calgary was Detroit or Chicago. Detroit was really good.
As was Chicago.
Yeah. Well, Chicago was Larmer, Roenick. I don't remember who the other winger was.
Steve Larmer.
No, I said Larmer, Roenick, and I don't remember who
Steve, was it Thomas?
It was Michel Goulet.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We're talking 92 or 94?
94. Michel Goulet wasn't there. There was no 92. It started in 94.
Oh, there was a 92.
Was there?
Okay. 94 Sega rosters. Let's see here. We're going to bring this up. I love this. I'm loving it. Okay, so we're looking at Chicago, Roenick, Larmer, Brett Sutter, Murphy, Graham, Noonan, Michel Goulet, Greg Gilbert, Rob Brown, Dave Christian, Stefan Matteau, Stu Grimson. So it was Goulet.
I guess it was.
And the defense was Chelios and probably Steve Smith. Yep, because Goulet was actually it probably wasn't Goulet. Goulet was a rating of 61. And Rutu was or Brent Sutter or Joe Murphy. And then if you look at Calgary, Fleury, Roberts, and Neuendijk, and then Rob Reichel.
Yep.
And on
I think Michael Nylander, maybe?
Nylander. Sergei Makarov.
Mm.
Nylander, I think, was on Hartford at the time. Yep, Hartford. So you had Verbeek, Sanderson, and Yaki. That was a horrible team. Oh, absolutely horrible team. What team did I use on this? I think I used the Rangers a lot. I hated using them, but I loved having Messier, Gardner, and Tikkanen.
That team flew.
Yeah, and let me guess, Seth. You were a person that did not play with line changes.
No, I did. I often did.
Did you? So my bro. Oh, I also played with the Devils a lot because I loved having Scott Stevens. And I played St. Louis, had Brett Hull, Shanahan, and Janney.
Yep, I played with Boston a decent amount. And what would happen is it was Neely.
Oh no, I played with Buffalo because you
Howard Chuck, and McGillney,
and LaFontaine, flying down the ice. I think the fastest one was Detroit though. Yzerman, Fedorov, and Dino Ciccarelli.
Yeah. All I know is I would typically lose to my buddy Will in overtime to Montreal every time. And I would take a beer can and just chuck it against the wall after my fourth consecutive overtime game loss.
And
if you're watching, I do remember.
I also played with Vancouver with Bure, Linden, and Ronning. They were all just none of them were hard shots, but they were all fast.
Trevor.
Yep. Yeah. And Quebec was Sakic, Sundin, and Kaminsky. This is before, obviously.
It's my brother.
What's that?
It's my brother. Kaminsky.
Why is Kaminsky your brother?
What do you think Cayman's is short for?
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
You and Val?
Me and Val.
You and Val. But last night we saw that Mark Stone once again proves that if you're healthy in the playoffs for the NHL, you can win. Because Mark Stone once again circumvents the salary cap by adding about $8 million in the playoffs. He pulled exactly what Tampa Bay did with Kucherov. And it just means you have to be. Now, just moving off that a little bit, how would you like to be Peter Laviolette? I mean, the only team you haven't coached in the Metropolitan Division is the Devils.
The Devils.
You've coached every other team in that division.
Is this his fifth team?
Yeah.
He's coached the Islanders, the Penguins, the Flyers.
No, he never.
Caps.
Did he do the Penguins?
Maybe not. What team am I missing in the East? In this division?
So he has coached. He has coached the Rangers now, the Islanders, the Hurricanes, the Flyers, the Predators, and the Capitals. So some in the South. So if you took the old Patrick division, he's doing pretty well with the Washington Capitals in there too.
Is he a good fit? I have no idea.
Well, the scout, he's got the scouting down, right? I mean, he's coached every other team. So he's got that down. I don't know if he's a good fit. Look, hockey coaches, you can win one, you can be incredible one year and awful the next, right? You're kind of like goalies. You're not like Bobrovsky, right? Bobrovsky was great this year, and we'll see if he does it again. Great in the playoffs. We'll see if he does it again next year. I don't know if he's a hockey coach is also a retread. You never get the new guy.
I was going to say this is retread beyond retread beyond retread. You know, people complaining about Frank Vogel. I mean, geez, Vogel won a championship and went to an Eastern Conference final or two. Laviolette's been, he's been on 7 teams,
and he hasn't won a championship yet. Wait, did he win?
I thought he did. I thought he won one.
He won with Carolina. The only one he could have won was with Carolina. So he was he did the Islanders first. Yep, he won with Carolina. After winning their cup, hold on. Yep, in 2006. Which is strange because the Islanders gave him his first head coaching opportunity in 2001, and that seems like 16 decades ago. It's only
probably because half our listeners weren't born yet at that point.
The half a zero is still zero.
Half a zero is zero.
Half a zero is still zero. All right. So we have free agency coming up in 2 weeks. We have the draft coming up next week. We will be making our normal awful picks as of next Wednesday.
I think they'll be worse than usual.
I know so little about this draft. I mean,
I've known less about this one than anyone I've ever done.
We said, and part of that stuff I think is because there's the G League component, right? There's overtime elite. There's the G League. Do you know the best senior is not even supposed to be a first round pick this year?
Who is it? Chris Murray?
No, it's a guy from UCLA.
Jamie Jacquez.
Nope. Oh, maybe that is his name.
Yes, it is. That's got to be.
Yeah. So he's not even projected to be a first round pick. Right. We are back to the days of Leon. We are back to the days of Leon Smith. That is all. Everything is based on projection. Nothing is based on actual what you can do. And our picks are just going to be look, if we hit on, I would say 20%, I'd be lucky. And that doesn't count the first 3 picks. Because we're all going to get we're going to get at least 4s on the first 3 picks.
Agreed.
Right? And probably on the first 5 picks. But who knows? All right. I think this is a good time. So for Seth Kamens, you got 5 more minutes? You got something for 5 minutes?
Oh, I got time. I
All
mean,
right.
I think what do you talk about? You talk about Man City. We've talked about, we've talked about Denver. We've talked about, um,
Okay,
we've talked about,
you're gonna have to educate me here on Man City.
okay. So you were talking soccer before.
Yes.
What's the biggest championship for a team?
I'm
The
gonna say
Champions
the
League.
EPL League.
The Champions League.
Champions League.
That's the All European League.
Wait, give me some credit here. At least I got something right. Okay.
What did you get right?
I didn't get it right?
What did you get right? You
I
said
said
the EPL.
the EPL Championship. Is that not the
No.
Champions League?
No. The
Okay.
Champions League is, remember they were going to create that Super League with all the
Yes.
different. So the Champions League is like the top 36 teams in Europe.
So that is the Super League.
Yeah, it's I mean to a degree, but you can make it. Anybody can make it.
Okay.
So you have 4 from England, you got 4 from Spain, yada yada yada.
Sure.
Man City has been the team has been the Brooklyn Dodgers of the 40s and early 50s
Okay.
for the last 6 years. They've won EPL league after EPL league after EPL league. They would keep losing for some weird reason. They lost to Tottenham one year. They lost to Chelsea, I think, one year. And finally this year, and probably not one of their stronger teams, they finally won the Champions League championship on Saturday over Milan, 1-0. So they won.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Hey, the Sheik apparently hadn't been in a game since 2010, but he decided to go to Istanbul for this one. So they won the Champions League, they won the EPL, and then they won the England like club championship. All in all, pretty good year for Pep Guardiola.
So is there anybody on that team that I know?
No.
Excellent.
No, because I mean, how many players do you know? 5?
I'd say probably closer to 10. I go double digits, but look, if they're not on the U.S. and they're not a major player, I'm probably not going to know. So
there's no one
let
from
me
the
ask you
US.
this: Is that good for the league that there aren't those major superstars on these teams?
No, because they're the major superstars you've never heard of.
Okay. Well,
Erling Haaland, who was the best free agent last year, who looks like Thor, really looks like Thor. You can Google him.
okay.
Scored 52 goals. Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best players in the world for the last 10 years. They spent an absurd amount of money. But this was the one thing they hadn't won. So they won on Saturday.
So in spending a huge amount of money, they once again clarified and made it known that you could buy a championship.
Of course. Well, that is true. Just like why did the PGA merge with LIV? Because the PGA was going to go broke fighting them.
Well, and we've said that before, right? Every single league has a contemporary or a challenger, and then they eventually merge because it doesn't pay to fight. It just pays for everybody to win. I mean, the ABA and the NBA are the best example, right? Those two guys from the St. Louis Spirits made like $800 million.
Yep.
For full.
They have 4/7. I think they had 4/7 of an NBA contract of a percentage of an NBA.
1/7 of the 1/7 of the 4 teams.
Yeah. Great deal. I think, as you said, I think they were bought out for like $600-700 million.
Yep. Yeah. And
didn't think we would go into the St. Louis Spirits today. Good job.
It pays to be rich.
I wouldn't know.
Absolutely, neither would I. I am, especially coming from Abu Dhabi, where everybody's rich. I have absolutely no idea what that means. Okay, so before we leave, 2 things. First of all, Lance McCullers Jr. again out for the season. Very unfortunate that is happening. But more importantly, so the Bills coach says that the matter with Stephon Diggs is resolved. What do you think?
I don't even think we know what the matter with Stephon Diggs was. So who the hell knows?
You want him in the Giants uniform?
Sure. Why not?
You want to give up what it'll take for him in a Giants uniform?
Probably not, because I don't know what it would take to give up, what we'd have to give up to get him to fit him under the cap.
Well, let's say you have to give up just a first-round pick.
I think if you give up a first-round pick to get him, you do it. I think because he signed for what, 2 or 3 more years?
Oh, no, he's going to want a new contract.
Well, the problem is I don't know where they fit I don't know how they would fit it.
Okay, so last 5 minutes, we're 10 minutes, but we'll do last 5. I'll go first. Kudos to Devontae Parker. Now, why would you say kudos to Devontae Parker?
Why would you say kudos to Devontae Parker?
And why would you think I would care about that? So every single time a new player comes on the market and other players from the same team are asked about that player, they're very welcoming, right? We would love for him to be here. We would love for this to happen. This would be great. He'd be a great addition to our team. Did you hear what Devontae Parker said today about DeAndre Hopkins?
Nope.
He basically shrugged it off and said, I don't want him. And you know what? Good for him. Because the only person one of the few people that's going to suffer is if he comes to New England, is Devontae Parker. In all likelihood, he'll get cut. So good on him for being as blunt as humanly possible. My boss yesterday coined a new nickname for me. I am now known as the known entity, which I think is apropos. You know what? Devontae Parker saying that means he is a known entity. Pat on the back to Devontae Parker. And yeah.
I think you got to give.
Hold on, one more thing. And kudos to Sue Bird, who got her number retired.
For the world's longest retirement ceremony?
And you know what? Did it matter?
No, it was 3 hours.
And she's a WNBA player that didn't earn a whole lot of money to do it. Like, if you do that, the WNBA, they earn comparatively nothing to the NBA. They earn, I believe it's in the maybe $100,000 or $200,000.
Yeah, agreed.
They have to go overseas to make the money.
Yeah, so hence the Brittany Griner issue.
Right. So if this is the payout, a 3-hour retirement ceremony,
good for her. She was one of the best.
Look, the best athlete to come out of Syosset ever. So I'll take that.
Wow, that is a ringing endorsement, but an amazing, probably the best women's point guard of all time.
Is she the best women's player of all time?
No, I don't think so. I think Taurasi. I think it's still Taurasi.
Okay.
Congrats to Novak. So we finally have, this is now the all-time Grand Slam leader in tennis. Nadal's not catching him. Federer's not catching him. 23 with winning the French Open on Sunday. He's still the number one player in the world. He's going to be the number one player in the world probably for another couple of years. And he is going to put that Grand Slam number way, way out of distance.
Oh, but we also said that about Pete Sampras too.
Pete Sampras was 13. This is going to be doubled.
No, I'm saying we said that at the time, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And let's say he wins 3 more in his career, which put him at 26.
Yeah.
That would mean someone would have to win 2 Grand Slams a year for 13 years to match it.
I get it.
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
So he is not as elegant as Federer. He was not as gritty in his own way as Nadal. But the consistency and the toughness that Djokovic seems, the mental fortitude that he has is just unprecedented. Congratulations to him.
Yay tennis, yay soccer. Okay.
Yay baseball?
No, I'm just saying, look, we spent 60% of this show on soccer and tennis. That is definitely a new record for us. So yay us. Equal opportunity sports people here.
There you go.
So for Seth Kamens, I'm Sean Palmer. Seth and Sean Sports. We'll be back next week with our NBA draft preview or our NBA draft misses, whichever one you want to call it. See ya.
Have a good one.
Adios.